Hey friend, are you asking yourself, is this what I really want to be doing with my life? I don't think so. I think there's something else that I'm meant to be doing. Welcome to the Painting Your Path podcast, where we have real conversations about what it takes to step out, be bold, and do you. I'm your host, Clarissa Castillo-Ramsey. Let's dive in. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Painting Your Path. I'm your host, Clarissa Castillo-Ramsey. And before we dive into today's conversation, I want to quickly share two things I'm really excited about. On March 26th, which is a Thursday, it's Social Prescribing Day. And I'm offering my second annual Artful RX on Zoom. It's my prescription for you to take a creative self-care break. And on April 11th in Pasadena, California, I'm co-hosting a women's retreat. Both are designed to help you slow down, reconnect with yourself, and use creativity as a tool for healing and clarity. And you can find more information about these offerings in the show notes. Moving on to today's guest, I'm so thrilled to share my conversation with Nadia Paredes. She is an art therapist and Project Hope leader. Nadia and her family were personally impacted by the Eaton fire, and that experience deepened her work in disaster mental health, community care, and the healing power of art. We talk about what recovery really looks like long after a crisis, the difference between art therapy and using art for self-care, and how small creative practices can support your nervous system when life feels overwhelming. I know you're going to love my conversation, so let's dive into my episode with Nadia. Nadia, it is so wonderful to have you on the podcast today.
Oh my God, thank you for inviting us. I'm happy to be here.
Yes. So before we get into your beautiful work with Project Hope, I know you live in Pasadena. And this year, I'm highlighting people who have survived the fire, as well as those who are supporting the community. And you are both, my friend. So, like me. So how about if we just start out with you sharing a little bit about who you are, what you do, and your connection to the community?
Of course. Well, I'm Nadia Paredes. I am an art therapist, and I live in Pasadena. And last year, we lost our son's school to the fires. So that was definitely a shift that we didn't expect. Of course, we're both we're an immigrant family. So it's always been like a struggle to see like where do you fit in and what do you do. And once we found this school, we felt like we were kind of like we landed home. And when the fires happened, it just kind of like gave us this sense of, oh my God, loss of community, right? Like, yes, the school
Right.
and the structure and supporting my 6-year-old son, well, at that point 5, was kind of like a struggle on its own because of, as a working parent, not having
Right.
that system in place is a little bit of a nightmare. But I think what really struck us was like the whole sense of how much community changed, and many people left because they lost their homes or they just didn't feel safe, and so a lot of people just kind of like left, and it was definitely a year, right, to be part of this.
Yes.
However, I am always a kind of like a positive twisting person.
Me too. I feel
Right?
like it's the only way to be, especially in these times.
Yes, absolutely. I think that, kind of like being like, okay, what's under my control and what can we do and what can we focus on goes back to, again, positive energy. And what it brought to me was a little bit of a change in career. Not big shift, but a bit of a shift. So I have been working with community mental health for a long time. And when the fires happened, I was talking to my colleague, Stacy, and she's a music therapist, and she also works at Project Hope. And she was like, "Oh my God, Nadia, we need someone like you." Because I was sharing, we lost the school and all the things, and then somehow mentioned that I had this background in disaster mental health. Because many moons ago, it's like, so kind of probably 10 years ago, I was also working in disaster mental health once I graduated from my program here, which is why I moved to the United States. I moved for art therapy, and then when I graduated, I found this calling for disaster mental health, and so I started working right away, and I was working with children at that point, and so I did that for a while, but then life changed, goals changed, went into clinical work, and I was working with older adults for a long time in a clinical setting. And then, I just kind of like forgot about it. And this was kind of like that shift of going back into kind of like now mixing my community mental health background with the disaster mental health. And that's how I ended up here.
Wow. And Nadia, for people who don't know,
Yeah.
we hear about art therapy. Some people may have experienced it. I do. I'm not an art therapist, but a practitioner. So I tend to use art more as meditative self-care, which is different from art therapy. Could you share with us, what's art therapy?
All right. So, well, art therapy is a mental health profession, fully on its own right. And what we do is we combine kind of like the healing power of the arts with, psychological theory. So we
Yes.
kind of like use that to help people, kind of like usually it's been more about clinical settings, but in the end, the profession has been expanding because we've realized that we are at a point where we cannot just focus on one aspect of mental health. Mental health is very broad. So preventive mental health has been also having a surge, disaster mental health. And we are always using the arts as a kind of like way to understand, through that trauma-informed lens that comes with the psychology background to help the community in a way that is, kind of like responsible and at the same time, kind of like keeping it more into like, how do we provide people with tools, that we have research for that are shown that really help. So, just again, doing art on its own is therapeutic art. It's kind of like the difference that we make as art therapists of like there's art therapy and therapeutic art. So usually in art therapy setting, it would be like there's an art therapist facilitating, with therapeutic art. Can be anybody, can be an artist, who's working in community, or some therapists who may use art as well, as a tool, but don't necessarily have that background that art therapy has, because again, we're trained into understanding the materials and how they work through this psychological lens. So we're kind of like a little bit more specified, and we have more like goals that we know we want to reach, and we know how the art can help us reach those goals.
Yes. And I got to watch you facilitate a taste of a session. I think it was with CA for the Arts. Am I remembering that right? And I'm going to link that in the show notes because it was a powerful session. So if you want a taste of some of Nadia's work, I'm going to put that in the show notes for people because it's just, oh my God, as an artist, we know the healing power of art. And I'm so happy that art it's coming to at least, or maybe I'm just paying more attention to it because art and health has become a focus for me too, going through this vocal condition to help me express myself.
Mhm.
So, anyway, kind of digressing a little bit, but just it's so powerful. It's so powerful. So I want to mention that for our audience.
Oh my God, absolutely. Yes, it was with California for the arts. And, it was an interview with a community artist and then me as an art therapist. So we both gave just for the public to be, you can actually look at it and you will have two different exercises, to help you feel better and use, the arts, which is kind of like, I think what we all as artists, art therapists and people just involved in creativity that were like, yes, let's put creativity forward and know that it is not only like, oh, it's something I paint and put on a wall, but it's like, no, it can be a healing practice for yourself as well.
Yes. Yes. Um, awesome. So, Nadia, would love to hear more about your work with Project Hope. I got to meet Stacy through Project Hope and then you, and what a delight. And you guys are doing such incredible work for the community. So, yeah, please tell us more.
Sure. It's a privilege, honestly, for me to say that I'm part of Project Hope. It has kind of like given me this like sense of like, oh wow, mental health matters so much, and they're very empowering, because well, Project Hope is a global health organization that is also a humanitarian response organization. And well, we have over 65 years of experience transforming the health and the well-being of communities all around the world, right? So this is, like an international, community of people that really want to, just help. They come in, and again, we're responding, in Ukraine, and we're also responding to like the disaster in Jamaica. Like it's not only disaster, it's basically anywhere where there's a crisis, a humanitarian crisis. We go in, we have people in Palestine as well. And the point is that we come in and we help empower the community to take care of itself. So we come in and we provide trainings. We also provide, support for the community. I think for Los Angeles right now, we've impacted over 20,000 individuals, and going towards actually now 20,500, which is kind of like a yay.
Yay, that's
And,
huge.
that's huge, right? And we basically work with, first responders, healthcare workers, people in the community, so that we can help support their efforts to respond more efficiently to the crisis that they're experiencing. In my particular role, I am a mental health expert and facilitator for Project Hope. And what we have been focusing on is exactly on kind of like helping support the mental health of everybody that just needs help. We provide workshops, trainings, we provide kits. We've worked with kids. When we started the response, it started over in the on the Palisade side, and we did some work with children and and with frontline workers. And then we shifted to also then, well, of course, include Pasadena, Altadena, and all the East LA impacted people. And we've been, working through the Eaton Fire Collaborative, with
Yes.
other organizations as well, to simply know how can we support, what can we do. So we've been also kind of like working with local organizations, so that we can help empower them and kind of like give them a little bit of like, this is what you can do, so that it stays, so that it's not just us facilitating something and then we're out and then, well, where
Right.
does the community stay, right?
Yes.
Because that's not the point. The point is for this to
Right.
continue.
Yes. And could you share, Nadia, maybe one group or workshop that you guys are doing in the Eaton fire
Sure.
area?
So we are very proud to be collaborating with Pasadena Village.
Yes.
They care, to the older adult community, and so we are currently working with them on this program called Hope to Healing. It's our second round of it. We did it right after the disaster, but as we, as mental, like speaking of mental health and disasters, it is a little more complicated than people think, right? Usually we think like crisis, let's go in, let's help. And then majority of organizations leave, kind of like okay, we did what we needed so that you guys can respond to the crisis. But in mental health, that's not how it works. Usually you have, yes, the crisis response. That's like the first part, right? Where everybody's just like trying to figure out what's going on, trying to get basic needs met, so that you can, go through it, so that then you can go into the recovery phase. Recovery phase is now when we actually start talking about it, what happened, and a little bit of that trauma processing of like trying to integrate the experience. And then there's kind of like what happens a year after, right? Like people think like, oh, it's over. You're like, it's not over.
Right. No, it is not over. Those
No.
anniversary dates are challenging.
The anniversary date is incredibly challenging because you're reminded, right? Like when we think of grief work, usually kind of like those anniversaries hit hard, particularly that first one, because you're like, it's the first time you're experiencing something without having that thing you lost, right? May it be a home, a school, a community, pets. We've had, it's a broad spectrum of loss at different levels, and the construction continues. And so you're dealing with the stress of the everyday, like, okay, now we found out the insurance is doing this. Oh, now I was able to get this resource. So you're kind of like still struggling to get out of it. And emotionally, you're just triggered again of like a wow. And I don't know, the other day there were these great wins on Saturday. And it was just I noticed my physical body, my nervous system reacting of oh my God, is this
oh no, yeah,
oh no,
not again.
Like that's how it started a year ago, right?
Totally.
So you can't help but feel, like your nervous system also has memory, your body has a memory, right? Your mind may be like in another state, but your body remembers, and if it's not spoken about and processed and integrated, your body will still react as if, oh my God, this is happening again. And so, and for us, we had a site visit to the school, we, because we're thinking like we're planning on going back next school year. And so having the wins and being in there just felt like should we maybe not? Like, what are we doing?
We do.
What do we do, right? And so that's why I think, this ongoing work that we are doing is very important, right? That we continue to support, and we've been doing, again, then the second round of Hope to Healing from Project Hope. We're now kind of like focusing on, okay, how do we integrate? How do we talk about grief, right? Because on our first round, it was more about like crisis, self-regulating, learning what to do with these emotions we were experiencing in the moment. And a year later, we're like, well, what do we do now with the feelings that we now have that may not be as intense as they were a year ago? But now there's space for us to, again, to do in that recovery phase of like, how do we talk about it? How are we feeling? How are we integrating it? And then continue to build that sense of community, because again, it kind of broke. And so trying to put those pieces back together, it's like we can trust each other, highlighting, and I will tell you, I love disasters. And I know it sounds very weird when I say like, I love disasters. That's why I work in disaster response. But I think it's because it has this power to unite us, to kind of like let our differences aside and realize the importance of togetherness as human beings. And when you're broken and separated, you kind of have a hard time to trust again. At the beginning, it's a natural source of like community, connecting, being all together. But suddenly as time passes, and this is very normal, and I do want to highlight this for people, because think like, wow, people don't care anymore. You're like, no, it's not that people don't care or resources are now not as abundant as they were a year ago. It's because it's the natural cycle, right? Of people kind of like, crisis, we're all in it together, but then we start to burn out. It's like after just giving, responding, there's a moment where you're like, okay, I need to take back for myself.
That's right.
Right?
Yes.
And so it's kind of normal for us to experience that. And that's why when we see the second part of the cycle, which is mitigation and prevention, of the full circle of disaster response. When we go into mitigation and prevention, is like, well, how do we start putting some things together again so that we can glue that back, right? And that we can kind of like be like, okay, let's strengthen ourselves. And prevention means because we know it's going to happen again, right? Like there's sadly, fires are prone in this area. They've been forever. We know we've experienced so many kind of like fires on the Malibu side and these things that we're like, it's eventually going to happen again, right? And so what we
Yes.
want, and if we go through that full cycle of recovery and then, mitigation and prevention, is that we give tools, right? So that you're like, when it happens again, that we already kind of know, we're a bit better prepared to respond more efficiently than when it was something out of the blue and unexpected, right? So it gives us that chance to be like, okay, what do we do now? Because when it happens, we will now have things in place, which is a great thing, right? Like we will know, like there's this
Yes.
thing, we have the collective, we have all these resources now connected to each other, right? Because maybe before agencies in Altadena were all separated, we're maybe doing great work in different
Totally.
ways,
Yeah.
but
Siloed.
right? And now we're all like,
Yes.
we're glued. And at Project Hope, we really want to be part of that glue of like, how do we help keep this together so that that keeps going, right? And that
Yes.
when and if it comes back, hopefully not as huge, hopefully, in a different way, but that we still feel like I don't feel so helpless.
Yes. And lost, because that just honestly felt like it came out of nowhere. I've been here for 20 plus years. We had the station fire in La Cañada in 2009. I could see the fire from my backyard. I hate to admit this. I was even barbecuing with friends whenever I saw the fire, but it was so far away, no wind at all. It stopped. This one, our friends closer to like Sierra Madre, that part of town, said, "You guys, you need to do something. The fire's moving." We thought, we've been through this. We're okay. It'll be gone. That's kind of stupid thinking, but that's what we thought. Come to find out at 3 in the morning, like that's when the police were here. And we look outside, sure enough, the fire's right there. So we had to leave. So I think, like, to your point, this was a shock. And personally, I've never seen the community rally together this much, at least for me. I was kind of like this in my life pre-fire. And now I know my neighbors. Now I know so many different people. Getting to meet people like you and connecting with so many wonderful organizations. So,
I know
yeah,
it's amazing, even the impact. We just had a workshop with Green Line Housing Foundation, and they work helping kind of like people, BIPOC community stay in the community. To kind of like how do you they help them with financial kind of like advice and also resources to help them buy homes so that they save.
yes,
But their work shifted, right? Like they were just kind of like helping the community stay where they are so that they were not displaced, by just the housing market. And now they're kind of like also helping with like, what, how do we keep you here, right? So that you don't have to
yes,
move because you lost your home. And what we realized, with this, for example, like maybe they were not directly, impacted, but they're working so closely and they're not frontline workers. It's not like they're, I don't know, like paramedics or firefighters. Like, no, they're just people who are in direct contact with the community and the vicarious trauma kind of like affecting them because they're hearing all the stories, right? And they're keeping them in. And so for those of you who don't know vicarious trauma means that because of you listening to somebody else's story of trauma, your body reacts in a way that that kind of like mimics trauma response, right? So you enter into a trauma state even though it's not your trauma. And that can
yes,
happen to many. So if you're out there and you're like, wait, I feel like, yeah, it's like I don't feel like I was affected, but I work with people who were, and I'm feeling it, like that is part of, again, of vicarious trauma. And, so we worked with them to be like, hey, how can we help you? So you continue to do this great work for the community that you're doing to help you keep that goal of housing security for, for minorities. And so just giving that space of like, let us educate you on the different things, like of the different stages of trauma and what that means and how your body reacts so that you can kind of like identify, wait, I think I'm experiencing this, so that you can either start doing more things. We also give all the tools for self-care, to help mitigate that. Hopefully also help you kind of like get over that hump without jumping into actually becoming a trauma for you. Right. And then needing, more services. So it's part of that preventive cycle, right? Of like, we don't want people to go into trauma, when it can be stopped, just because, you have the right tools, you might be able to just recharge your body, retrain your nervous system into noticing like, oh, this is not mine. I'm okay. It's like, let me go out for a walk because I'm feeling, activated. I'm feeling a little bit, not well. So you can take those steps, right? You can do those things. And we have a Project Hope. We developed this toolkit, and I can also give you that resource. I'll send you the link to the PDF because it has like 13 small breaks. So what we've realized is that in self-care, we want to do this like one big thing that will fix it all. Like, I will go run at night, or I will paint. And then you're like, that was not enough. Or by the time I got there, I was so exhausted by the day that you're like, you know what? I'll just watch TV. Or you know what? I'm just exhausted, which is, hey, normal. Please don't judge yourself. I'm all about like mindfulness and compassion. So I'm like, please don't feel like you failed, but it's normal, right? So the thing that we've been working on is called micro breaks, right? So instead of waiting for that one big moment, you can do 5-minute, 2-minute, 1 minute even, 10 minutes tops in between your day to be like, let me take a pause, just 2-minute pause. If you're incredibly busy, you can just, do some breathing exercises. Just be like, I'm going to close my computer now and I'm just going to focus on my breath. I'm going to put an alarm on my, on my phone for 2 minutes and just focus on how breathing feels for me right now. So you can just have that little reset of like, self-regulating, like, I'm okay. Everything is okay in this moment, in the present, right? There's also, exercises in there. There's a guided meditation that you can do. It's like a 10-minute one. It's called the rain meditation. And it just kind of like, guides you through different steps for you to kind of like come back to center. So I know guided meditations for me are great. It's not for everybody. I will say that. Some of you might be like, oh, that's not mine. And that's great. Like, it's okay. That's why we have 13. So you can try all the different choices. Exactly. You have choices so that you can definitely kind of like find those mini breaks. And then maybe you come up with your own to be like, oh yeah, it's like, I don't know, I'll just wash dishes, right? And maybe you do it mindfully. You're like, I'm going to feel the water. I'm going to do it slowly. So that way you feel like, okay, I'm being productive, which I know it's a trap for a lot of us.
Right.
Guilty here. But you can still take that moment of like, let me just feel. Let me connect back to my body, to my senses, so I can just recenter in the, I'm safe right now. If I can do dishes, it means I'm safe, right? It means I'm okay for now. And I can take that, 5-minute break and then come back to whatever it is that I was doing. So that coming to you as well. And of course, artists.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you. I would be shocked if it wasn't there. So thank you for that. And I'll be sure to put that link in the show notes.
Sure.
Could we go back to the Pasadena Village real quick? Because I've also done work with them. And awesome. I love Katie.
Katie, shout out.
Right? Katie Brandon.
And the team. Like her team is like dream team.
Yeah, they are a dream team. And I know one of their artists, Karin, and shout out to her. I'm trying to get them both on the podcast. But just would love to hear like the reaction to them going through your program, or just anything you want to share.
Oh my God. Well, actually, I will tell you, we are doing a special retreat with them at the end of the month. It's going to be at the Arboretum.
I'm going to be there.
Oh, yay.
As a participant.
I love it. You need that. Yes. I was like, please. Yeah. I was like, take that for yourself. Do it. And so we're going to have different activities throughout the day, some music, art, guided walks, there's going to be, spiritual journaling, like all these things. So to help people, kind of like come back a little bit, take that break of, because again, it's been a year of work, right?
Yes.
And so with Pasadena Village, what we noticed was that, there's this welcoming to the arts. We're doing the Hope to Healing. I also did a series of art journaling to teach people, again, this technique to do self-care through art making. And the response has been so overwhelming of people feeling seen, heard. I mean, these are just anecdotes, like they're like, oh, I love having this break, in the space, having community come together intentionally to heal together has been something that they've mentioned is very powerful. Pasadena Village also provides dinner during our Hope to Healing series as part of what they call the supper club. And they've been able to do that through that funding that also, again, Project Hope also does. So, provides funding for local organizations, so that they also have food, because we know, food scarcity has also been a reality, after a disaster. All the money that you're spending on getting yourself, back on the housing department. And then you're like, well, and then all of my other basic needs may be affected. So that's why, kind of like feeding and food is very important. And we also know it's a community gatherer. So we really always want to kind of like encourage that, like get together, kind of like connect, do that. And we've had people, so our programs are usually a come in, drop in basis, need to be for the full series. So Hope to Healing is like a 4 series. The art journaling was 3. And we opened it to like come in like whenever you can, because we know you're busy. And it's been amazing to see the repeat. Like people just join back and back. So they attend, they were like, I just came for 1. And next week they're like, hey, I'm back.
Oh, I love it.
So it shows, that people really value this moment of connection, particularly through creativity. We have a lot of older adults out there who are incredibly creative, musicians who are doing all this active work, kind of like putting concerts together, or who are just kind of like being like, I haven't been doing, music for a while. And this is my first time coming back, because we also do kind of like drumming circle. Stacy does that. Stacy does all the drumming music. We created a playlist. I think that's another great resource, if like make a playlist for yourself with like maybe music that brings you joy or that makes you hopeful. Because that way when you're feeling low, you can put that in, like you can play that for yourself and you'll reboot your system into like, yes, kind of like I'm in a good state. So we did that with them. We also have an ongoing playlist for the group. And
I love it.
Drop songs. They're like, I love it. Like we had one of our members who came back and she was like, hey, I have another song for our list. So, so there's this beautiful engagement, of people really being like, I want to heal, right? I want to be better, feel better. We have others who are just coming in to celebrate that, that maybe they were able to get housing, and we welcome all of it, right? We don't want people to feel, because we know that can create some, survivor's guilt of like, I'm good. Yes. And the rest are not doing great. And so in the group, we welcome it all, because we're like, we're in different stages and all are welcome. Like we want to celebrate the wins, because it tells others maybe like, oh, I can also have a win, right? Like it's just a matter of time. So there's that sense of hope and of like, yes, we can, like things will get better. So that also helps. And so we're really trying to, the group has been integrating those different levels of recovery and like where they are and just being there for like celebrating, and they don't feel guilty anymore, right? Because others are like, oh my God, that's so good. That's so great. And so they feel like, oh, I can still be part of the community, right? Because that can lead to isolation. If you're the only one who's doing great, right, or who recovered, or who at least is way, kind of like deeper in the process of recovery, then you might feel like I'm the only one and I don't want to be that like person, right? Who's just like, oh, here I am doing great, and you're not. So it goes back, right, into this is great. And so they're like, oh, cool, I'm still part of the cycle, and I can just be part of it and help support others or give expertise and advice. Because we've also had that of people like, hey, have you tried doing this? Like, this is what helped me get here. And others are like, oh, I didn't know. I
hadn't thought about that.
I hadn't thought about that. So it becomes like a little bit of a think tank and for people to share. So I feel like that's been our experience, at least, kind of like doing this group. And it's always nice, when we stay later for dinner after the programming and just hang out, right? And just normalize. So like having a normal day, right? Of just like, we got together, we made some art, we did this. I know one of the projects we did is now hanging in the Pasadena Village office. Because we made it, and I didn't know what we were going to do with it. I was just like, we'll make it and see what happens. And it was organically from the group, like, can we hang it? Can we put it here?
Oh my gosh, I love that.
So I was like, yes, of course we can. Of course, Kate was like, yeah, of course, hang it, whatever. Katie being, Katie, right. Just like, sure, whatever, supports and helps. So that's been very cool. So I think that, again, in this partnership with Pasadena Village, we have seen, kind of like that, maybe like seems like little impact, but we know, again, from our experience, 65 years of experience doing this work, it's kind of like, you're like, that's what makes the difference. Those tiny things is what actually puts us back together.
Totally.
Right?
Totally. And I also want to give a shout out to Project Hope, because you guys are helping my business be able to put together a meditative art session for the Eaton fire survivors. So you don't know this, but I'm going to share it with you. It's going to happen in April. I just need to put it on the calendar.
Nice.
And you also help the other group I'm involved with, Alta Arts Collective. We are going to also do some community canvas projects at the Eaton Fire Collaborative. So thank you so much for your support.
Yes. Oh my God. I'm like literal chills.
Yeah.
That makes me so happy that we're able, to support in any way, that we can. And I know the Alta Collective already also did something, like you already started with like some of those canvases. So I'm like, that's amazing. Because I know, just being, in a meeting with, with all of you was just so inspiring of like, look at what all that we can do. Because, I'm an art therapist, and I feel like we need so much art in the world. And I know what I do is more like specialized and has its own structure of existing, because of the mental health system that I'm part of, right? Like all these like rules and paperwork and blah, 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 doing all the things. But I'm so supportive. Like, how can we support artists? And that's something Stacey and I talk about. And we're hoping to provide a little more than we did.
Yes.
We didn't think we could, but maybe we can now. So kind of like, oh, surprise is coming to you later. But, we thought like, how can we empower artists? How can we empower? Because that was kind of like part of something that Project Hope wasn't doing. And we brought it in because they believed in expressive arts therapies, like all creative arts therapies. They were like, we want to support this. We see the value in it. And I can tell you as an art therapist, sometimes mental health systems feel like, oh, you guys are just like wasting time. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. You're not doing anything. And so for us to have an organization back these professions up that are kind of, again, growing and up and coming to kind of like prove like, yes, what we do matters, is important. And then when we told them like, hey, what if we also support artists? Because we know they will be the ones continuing the work that is currently needed. It became like okay. Like, let's see how we make it work. And so we're kind of like, I do need to give that shout out to Project Hope, because I know I've been working with different organizations through the mental health perspective. Some aren't as welcoming, and they're just like, or they may not see the power of like, hey, artists gathering, community. But we know the value of it. We know that research backs it up. So we're like, hey, this works. And they're like, of course it does. Like, why wouldn't it? So having champions for the arts really helps, right? Because then we can do that. And then you can all continue to support and do this great work that we know you all do, right? That it's so necessary. Because in the end, kind of like science gets us out of things, but arts get us through the things.
Yes, for sure.
That is, my favorite quote from Mo Willem.
I love that.
It's such a good quote, because I know that started with a pandemic. And we were like, what are we going to do? And we're like, well, we have the arts, and people started making more art. And so I'm so happy, again, in this twists of like horrible thing, but great thing at the same time, is that people start to connect more naturally to their creativity. So people are more open to test and try. And before, maybe they were like, I wouldn't do a watercolor workshop. But now they're like, maybe I'll try it and see if it works.
Yeah, let's see. Let's try it.
And then they show up, and then you all do the magic that I know you do. And then it's like people are converted, right? They're like, arts are great. Let's keep doing this. And so that's kind of like part of, I will say also a little bit of my personal mission, which is advancing.
I love that. It's like, yes. Me too. Oh, Nadia, this was such a delight. Is there anything else you'd like to share about yourself, your work, before we get into rapid Q&A?
Sure. Well, it's like, it's like I will continue to champion the arts. It's like I love connecting to people. Clarissa, you have my information. If anybody's interested in, discussing ideas, projects, anything, that I may be able to support in any way. I mean, I'm the former president of the American Art Therapy Association. So I'm very involved in, like, again, the arts and healing community, also through California for the Arts, and through many different people. So if there's any way I can help connect and help build, more connections that help us all thrive, please don't hesitate. Reach out to me. And I don't know, maybe I don't have all the answers, but I know where to look for them. So
Yes, thank you so much.
Of course. Of course.
Okay, so as we kind of wind down, I like to do a rapid Q&A, and this is just so people can get to know you.
Sure.
So I'm curious. So we're recording this in the morning. Are you a coffee drinker, tea drinker, or something else?
I'm a tea drinker. I can't drink coffee. I have a very low tolerance genetically to caffeine. I figured that out through a test, and turns out I don't process it well. So to me, it gives me an anxiety attack.
And we don't need that.
We don't need that. I was like, I tell people I already have the intensity in me. Thank you very much. I was like, that's already part of the package.
Just natural.
Natural, so tea and herbal teas usually. I mean, I can take that black tea here and there or green tea, but usually I'm like herbal.
Nice. How about a current obsession?
Oh, my current obsession is this show called The Bear.
The Bear. You know what? That show, I love it, but it makes me anxious.
I know. Me too. I feel like that's why I'm like obsessed with it, because I'm like, I feel this tense, and then I'm like, oh, okay, it's all good. It's like, oh my god.
I know.
Okay.
I know. It's like, woo. So it makes you feel alive.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So I feel like, that's my current obsession.
Cool.
My general obsession, though, is like Star Wars and Disney. So
Love it.
That is general. That's always there.
Awesome.
But right now,
awesome. The Bear. Curious, do you have a word of the year?
I do. And it's actually 2 words, but I think they count as one, which is slow down.
Slow down. So good. Slow down.
Because again, the intensity is in there, and I'm just going. And it's like, I am going to therapy right now because, I mean, the trauma did get to me. I didn't think it would. I thought, I'm a professional. I can handle it. Of course, I could not handle it. So lesson to everybody. It kicks to everybody. I started going to the doctor. They gave me some medication that helped a lot. That was beautiful. Right. I will say that made such a difference. But then my therapist, somatic therapist, I'm working through the body. It was like, I need to slow down and need to learn to have my system, because I've been just rushing.
Yes.
Slowing down was I need to do that. So I'm mentally always like, slow down.
Yeah. Good one. Love it. Okay. You're an artist, art therapist. Curious about this. Do you have a favorite color?
I have 2 favorite colors.
Okay. Love it.
So one is red.
I should have known.
Yes. And pink is my other one.
Love it. Kind of like your
hot
hair.
pink.
Hot pink.
Hot pink is like, those are my 2. They're very similar, actually, now that I think about it.
They are. How about a motto you live by?
It's like, there's this saying in Berlin, in Germany, of the city, that it says, so in German, it says, man sagt nicht Berlin ist, sondern Berlin wird. And that means one doesn't say Berlin is, one says Berlin will be. So it's the sense of always knowing that you're becoming.
I love that.
Of just knowing that I am this right now, but I will be something else. And that's okay. Like, I'm this for now, but it's not permanent.
Yes.
It's always evolving.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. I have a program called The Art of Becoming, and that's pretty much like what it's about.
Let me know when you have said.
Sure. Yeah, it's about the journey. Yes.
It's always about the journey, right? We
Love
don't know.
it.
I mean, I'm a process-based artist, so of course for me it's always about that. What will become, I don't know. It helped me,
Right.
deal with my own perfectionism and my tendencies to feel like I need to control everything. And once I started doing process-based work, I realized, oh, this is how life is and should be. So there's always this parallel, right, to like art and your life. And I was like, yeah, process-based, becoming a process-based artist helped me because I was just like an acrylic painter, pastels. And once I started to dive deep into process art, I was like, yes, this is
Yes.
it. And it
This
transformed
is
me
it.
completely. Just
Love
just making
it.
that art, like just learning how to do that
Love
was healing.
it. Yes. And the last question that I ask everyone is the name of this podcast is Painting Your Path. What does painting your path mean to you?
That I have a choice. Doesn't matter what's going on around me, even if the world feels like it's falling apart. Nobody can take my choices from me. I get to choose. Always.
Love it. Thank you so much, Nadia, for being here with us today.
No, thank you so much. This was so lovely. Like having, you're just such a ray of sunshine. So
Oh, so are you. So glad we're
yeah.
connected.
Yes.
And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And as I always ask, what's your biggest takeaway? Tell us on social media. And until next time, keep painting your path. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you so much for staying till the very end. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with a friend. If you haven't had a chance yet, please write a review and rate the show. I would love to hear your feedback. And I also have a free resource guide for anybody who is asking themselves, am I on the right path for myself now? Or is there something else that I really want to do? Maybe you're in that quandary. Maybe you're wondering what's next. So head over to the show notes and you'll see my Painting Your Path framework guide. Download it and have some fun. Just start exploring. And thank you again for tuning in, and I will see you next week.